Hello, good afternoon, good day, wherever you're watching from. My name is Bright Gira. So welcome to Architect Guide. So today we're going to be talking about understanding skill in architecture. Understanding skill in architecture. So that by the end of this session, students will learn clearly understand what skill means in architecture. Secondly, we'll know why skill is critical in design and drawings. Then clearly identify common skill related mistakes. Number four, apply correct skill thinking in design decision. Right. So now these are the things you learn at the end of the course. So now if you're just joining us on this channel for the first time, please do well to subscribe to this channel, like and also comment. Probably I talk about something that you most likely have made a mistake about, and then you want to make some corrections. So you can actually comment on the live session below while the video is going, or even after the video conclusion, so you can still do that commenting, and we'll see and all create other content as regarding those areas of your challenge. So let's dive right in. So now, what is skill in architecture? What is skill in architecture? Right, so now, scale in architecture is the relationship between the real life size of objects, spaces, and buildings, and how they are represented in drawings or models. Right, so now, it's the relationship between the real life size of objects, spaces, and then the building as a whole, right, in a construction project. And that's the scale. Right, so now, scale is usually most likely used to actually resize or remodel. Okay, if you're trying to now bring down the size of a document or something, right? So scale is very, very important in architecture, probably interior, even in interior design too. For those of us that do building construction, right? So now it's very, very important for us to understand it. While you're working with AutoCAD, right, or you're working with other softwares, right, and then you have to actually set the scale. Because now, for example, let's say you want to now print out the drawings you want to do, or you want to the project you are doing now, you want to now print out the project on a paper, right? You have to now know the size of scale that will match the size of paper that you want to print on, probably on A4 or A3. So depending on the size of the paper or the project, right, you now choose a scale that will match either ways together. So scale is not just about numbers. One thing I would like us to know now is that scale is not just about numbers. Like I said earlier, is the relationship between the size of the space and then the humans living in that space. Right. So what you understand is I'll clarify it when we go downwards. So if you're just joining us on this channel, please do well to click on the subscribe button and also like and then share this video for those persons that needs to understand what it means for scale. Right. So scale is not just about numbers, right? So it's about human experience. Right. So it's about how the human experiences the space for people that are into the building construction, and you understand that there's what to call functionality, there's what to call circulation in the space. It can be a living room, it can be a bedroom, it can be a dining, a kitchen, whatever space it is. Right. So there's something we call functionality. It has to be functional. There has to be circulation around that space. People have to be able to move because one, sorry, the space or the building is designed for man. So man is the why that building is designed, right? So that is why it's not just for numbers alone, but it's about the human experience. How the occupants of that space feel when they live, when they dwell in that environment. Do they feel comfortable, right? Or they feel off, right? Something is just off about this. I don't just like it, right? So just give that view. As you know, architecture is designed for people to walk, people to sit, people to sleep, and then people to interact. As well as that, these are more than rational for people. Remember, I said the first thing is people, so person or humans. Rational. The reason why the scale is very important is because of what humans. The reason why the building is designed is for what? For humans. Right. So now, when you're doing that, you're doing that for people to live in, for people to walk in, for people to discuss or interact in that particular environment you have created. So if you notice that probably your previous designs you've been doing has been giving that discomfort whereby people cannot move or walk or interact completely free in that environment, it means you are doing something off balance. Okay, so now if scale is wrong, a room feels uncomfortable. A room feels uncomfortable. So most time, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you walk into a room and then you just feel like there's something about this space that I don't just like. right? So now you might, for someone that is a layman in the building industry, like he or she might not be able to pinpoint what is happening. But then for someone that has the clear vision as an architect or interior designer or whatever professional you are in the building industry, right, you can able to pinpoint that the fact that okay, there's something that is making these people uncomfortable. It can be the furniture, it can be the space for circulation, it can be the fact that the space is not functional. Are together? So now, if his scale is wrong, right, a door feels too small. The size of objects in that space can feel too small, right? Probably you have for example, as an interior designer, you have a small space, right? A small space to do a design in, right? So all of a sudden, you now see that the furnitures you are choosing, selecting, right? The furniture selection you're doing, right, has to now match the space you're looking at. But then if that furniture you are doing or you're doing according to measurement, according to scale, what you find out is that some of the items are looking much more bigger than the space you have. Right? So now that is why you have to now correct that error because it's an error, right? And then your client now begins to notice that, right? Or your lecturer for a student, or you're a person that is doing projects, right? So these are the clients is aware, or the lecturer becomes aware of what you have, the wrong you have done in your design, right? So now it's very important, right? So now if the scale is wrong, the staircase feels dangerous. A staircase will feel dangerous because now the scale is wrong, right? So you have choose the wrong scale. Right? So now in terms of using 150 millimeter for the riser, you are using something like a 180 or whatever size that is off balance for that particular project to work or for that particular staircase to work. Right. So now what you want to do now is to make sure that you correct those errors now. You or correct those errors quickly while you're doing your design project or you are still in school working on it. So you actually have to now understand skill. So for those of us that are in the medical industry, we understand that there's what we call skill development. And skill, we don't have it here, but I'll show you. So skill, what happens is you're using that skill to now resize, either maximize or minimize the size of your drawing to suit the paper size. Right, so now there's K1 is to 200. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the next session, right? Tomorrow, right? So now there's K1 is to 100, there's K1 is to 50, there's K1 is to 20, and different size like that. But then for today, we're going to talk about skill in architecture. Now, we're now going to talk about the types of skill in architecture, the different types of skill, or the different places where skill apply in architecture. Right, so number one, we're together. Number one, human skill. If you look at very well, there's what is called the first the derived measurement. The derived measurement from the human body, where you have feet, we have inches, we have yard. Right, so that is where we have the Da Vinci. I've forgotten how they call the name of this drawing, whereby you have the Da Vinci. Right, so now they are trying to now scale the portions of the man. Right, so now for the foot, you have the leg measuring out that to 300 millimeter. Right, so that was where scale was derived from. So measurement was derived from. So now we have two types of measurements measuring units, right? So now there's imperial system of measurement and then there's metric system of measurement. So depending on the country you're watching this video from, right, or depending on what is actually applied in that particular country, right, you can either be using imperial system of measurement, which is the feet, the inches, the yard for construction drawings, for construction works, or you are making use of metric, which is like the millimeter, the centimeter, and then the meters. Right, so now all these included as part of the laws, right? So that most likely people, the professionals around that environment use them most likely. But then in Nigeria, most times you for professionals make use of metric system. But then there are what's it called? There are other people that make use of the imperial system of measurements like feet. For example, you have a carpenter, right? So the normal local carpenter will be using the feet or inches to make measurements of that. So that's why you have to now understand all of these as a professional in the building industry. You have to understand all these types of measurements. So now let's continue. Human scale is the type of measurements. Now it was derived from the human body. Right? So now this is the most important scale, right? So human scale relates building and spaces to the human height, the human movement, and then human comfort. Right so now, because it is derived from human being, right so now they use human being as the basis of measurement. Right so now we are now doing it to make sure that the human is having comfort, maximum comfort in the space, right? Maximum comfort in the space. So now that's what we're looking at for our designs, right? So you're trying to now ensure that the human being have. So now there's what is called SI unit. Are we together? Have you heard of that before? SI unit. So now the SI unit is like a standard unit of measurement. So now for they now checked, right? So now for average height of human beings, right? So it's going to be around or below 2.1 meters. So now for you look at your door properly, you can check your door, check around your space. You can see every size of the door, the height of your doors, right? Around that 2.1 meter. 2.1 meter as an average height becomes a standard unit of measuring the door height. And then there's a standard unit of measuring the width, the size of the door. Either you're having a 750, you're having a 900 millimeter, or you're having a 1.2 meter, or you're having a 1.5 meter, right? So as a case like that, so if it goes beyond those measurements, those standard units of measurements, right, it becomes a custom built design. It's a custom built. Right, so now let's move down to an example. The door height, right, that I talked about earlier, so it's like 2.1 meters, right? So now that is 2.1 meters as a door height, standard unit of measurement, because while we have actually checked and see that the average height of human beings is below that 2.1 meters. Right? So if the person is too tall, right, it's going to be above that 2.1, let's say 2.5 or 2.2 or 2.3, thereabout 2.3 meters. Right. So and then it is not as common as you have people that are below 2.1 meters, right? So ceiling height, right? You have the ceiling height within the space. It can be a living room or the bedroom or whichever space in your apartment. You can check that now. You can have your tape and take the measurement. It is 3 meters minimum. 3 meters. If it becomes too small, right? You know, there's a science to architecture. There's an art to architecture. Right now, the science aspect of the architecture is that if your height, this the ceiling height of your headroom, we usually call it headroom, is below 3 meters, or let's say 2.7. Right? What happens is that the space will feel a little bit congested. Right? You easily feel heat, overheated while people come into the space, right? At least when two persons come into the space, because there's no enough headroom for the used air to go up, and then for the new air coming into the space to now begin to circulate into the space, right? So because that space is not allowed, what happens is that it becomes easily congested, right, with heat. Right? So that's why you actually have to now check out all these things to check to see that you are doing it the right way. Way together, right? So if a door height, okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Furniture scale. Right. So now the second type of scale we're going to talk about today is the furniture scale. Wherever you have the furniture helps to test space size. So you have a space, and then let's say you are an interior designer or you are an architect, and you went to the client space to take measurements, right? So you're taking measurement of a 3.6 meter by 4.2 meter living room, right? That can be a small space, or it can be a minimum size of living room space, right? So what happens is when you go there and you're taking measurements, you're doing your measurements, one of the things that comes to your mind is you are trying to picture out what fits into that space. You're trying to picture out what fits in that space and what can use that space for. So where am I going to place the best place of furniture placement, place my wall, the TV console, whatever I'm going to use for these other spaces. You are in your mind, you are trying to now plan out how that space will look like, or what to be brought into that space to make it much more functional. Right. So now that is where the furniture scale comes in. Right. So now one thing is very certain. You now use the size of the biggest furniture, the size of the biggest furniture in the space. Right. So for example, if you look at a living room now, living room, the biggest furniture in the living room is the sofa. The sofa, it can be a sectional sofa, it can be a double seater sofa, right? But then the sofa. So if you look at the bedroom, the biggest size of the bed, the furniture in the bedroom is the bed. Right, so now you now use the size of those bigger furnitures to measure, to scale other furniture that can come into the space. Probably in your living room, you want to have a sectional sofa and then an ottoman, right? So now you when you place the ottoman in your mind, you are placing the section sofa in the space, right? You now think, okay, my center table or my coffee table will come in at this particular point, right? At this point, I'll use my wall cladding on my TV unit or my TV media wall, right? So you can now begin to put all these other things to perspective. But then you pick a particular furniture. Why furniture scale is very important, or is very very useful, is that when you go to the space, you pick a particular size of a particular furniture, or most like the biggest or even the smallest, whichever one that is comfortable for you to use, right? And then you begin to use that to measure out other furniture that will come into the space to see if that space will be enough for the design you want to do. Are we together? So it is very, very important that we put those things into perspective. And then lastly, we talk about the building scale. So this is how a building relates to its surroundings, neighboring buildings, and then a street. Right. So example, a bungalow beside a high-rise building. Right. So that this is like you are trying to picture out something, right? This what the bungalow is just a ground floor design. Right. So now you're picturing that close to it. Now the size of these are two different sizes of buildings, right? So there's no way the bungalow will be bigger than the three-bedroom or the high-rise building all together. So now that is like you trying to scale them out. Right. So now why is scale important in architecture? Why is scale important in architecture? Not just architecture, in the building environment or in design. As an architect, architectural student, or as an interior designer. Now, why is it important? Number one, comfort. It gives comfort. While when you design with a scale in mind, right, what happens is the end result is comfort. When you design with scale in mind, the end design or the end result of that design will become comfort, because now people can begin to move around freely. People can actually engage that space, probably sit comfortably, and then engage the space, the other environment in the space comfortably. You know, when you go to walk into a kitchen, for example, right, and then the kitchen is not making use of the kitchen triangle as a basis for the functionality of that kitchen. What happens is that the moving around from, let's say I move from pillar, let me say I move from the sink down to the my stove, from my stove down to my refrigerator, and then the arrangement of this is not based on the triangular format for the work triangle, right? So it becomes stressful for someone that just came back from work, and then he or she is just trying to now prepare a little light meal for them to eat and then go and rest. But now that person can begin to engage in another stress when they get back home. How do you the comfort aspect of that space was not be planned into your design? Are we together? That's now the second aspect, or the second reason why scale is important in architecture or in design, is function, for functionality. Right, so now the use of scale gives functionality. It helps you to now balance the space, to now actually begin to bring in furnitures by the size, by use of scale. You can actually bring in furnitures that can actually match or be complementary to each other. And then, in other words, you now create a balance. Right, so now the space will feel balanced. There will be enough space for circulation. There will be enough space for movement, right? Because you have taken cognizance of the fact that people are going to move, right? The basic height or the width of someone that will be moving around this particular space, the living room or the bedroom, whatever the space is, right, will be we read that he or she is trying to, you have actually taken measurement of what they are looking like. So according to the new fact architect data, now the minimum size of a particular person is from shoulder to shoulder is 600 millimeter, right? So now that when you're using that as a basis, it becomes easier for you to now know how to arrange that space, how to create movement paths for the person to, yeah. So it becomes easier for you to actually set up how people move around in the space, right? So now if I have 600 and I have 600, that is 1.2 meters, right? So now two persons can move freely, or even one person can move freely within that kitchen or the bedroom without any obstruction, right? So now because you have known that is circulation has been achieved, and then it becomes functional. So that kitchen can be categorized as a functional kitchen or a functional living room, as the case may be. So now, then the next part of it is safety. Safety. Now, when you make use of scale, because of the height, headroom, right? So you're able to now understand what is the minimum or the maximum height or the standard unit of measurement for door height for the different sizes. Because you know that every furniture in the space have their own sizes, except it is custom built or is a bespoke furniture. Every furniture in the living environment have their different sizes, right? So now when you understand that, you are now building those furnitures to suit safety, right? In terms of their sizes, building them to now match the size, building them to match the function of that space, building them to actually become not harmful to the environment or to people making use of that space. Right? So it becomes easier for them to actually make use of it and then achieve safety usage. Are you together? Number four is aesthetics, aesthetics, and then approval. Aesthetics, right? So because of the fact that you actually make use of a skill in the space, right? It actually gives you the ability to now achieve balance. When you achieve balance, it becomes easier for aesthetics to play out because you begin to bring in color palette, bring in all your other functional designs, right? To now ensure that okay, this space is well, this space is achieving aesthetics by design. Together. So if there's any question so far, you can type in the comment section or you can ask the question and you can drop the question in the comment section. So if you're just joining us, please do well to subscribe on this channel and share the video for someone that it might help. Right. So now let's move on to practical examples. Practical examples. Now, so can five people sit comfortably in in a sectional sofa? Can five people sit comfortably in a sectional sofa, right? In a sectional sofa, and then in a space of 3.2 meters, right, by 4.2 meters. In the living room by 3 points, that is by 3.2 meters by 4.2, right? And you're having a sectional sofa inside. It won't feel useful because now the size of the sofa, the sectional sofa, will overwhelm the space. That is why it's very important that you actually put skill in planning, right? You actually plan with skill in mind. You actually do your space planning with skill in mind. Okay, so it's very important. You know, you take measurement of the size of the space, you know the size of furniture you're going to make use of, and then the size of the humans that are going to live in that particular space together. So now, secondly, a second example I'm going to give is the staircase, right? The staircase as an example, right? So now, for example, have you gone to a particular an environment, or let's say a rented apartment, and it's a story building, probably a three-story building, and then you go to the staircase, and the staircase is very small that two persons can pass through that staircase easily. Why? Because of the fact that while they were creating that, what they are designing that building, they didn't put in mind the scale of human scale. They didn't take into cognizance the measurement of persons. Right now, while you're moving up, right, the person that is coming, right, will have to now wait on the landing, probably on the first landing, to now allow you to walk through, climb up the stair before you now move down. So that design is malfunctioning. So now your design should be able to allow for circulation. When you put scale into perspective, one thing to help you do is to now begin to create space for circulation, create space for movement around for different persons and all that. Right. So now the third example, a bedroom must allow, right? So now a bedroom must allow for bed, right? So now, firstly, when you do a design of a particular space or different spaces as an interior designer or as an architect, when you do a building design, one of the things you're talking about, looking out for is what are the persons, how many persons are living in this particular space? Right? So now, what furniture should be placed in here? Right? So now, what kind of color palette are they working with? You know, when you answer these questions, it gives you a directive, a clear directive as to the size, the skill they are going to work with. Right? So now, to ensure that you achieve functionality at the end of your design. Are we together? So please don't make those mistakes again. Right? So common mistakes with skill, common mistakes with skill seen around professionals, can be seen around students, whereby you're doing a project and then the lecturer is asking a question, or he or she can actually, they will see that okay, this the bed is supposed to be bigger than the sofa, a single sofa, but then because of the fact that you couldn't put in scale as a consideration when you began the design, right? You see that from afar, the lecturer can pinpoint when your drawing is wrong because why you didn't consider scale. So now they can see that okay, instead of the size of the bed to be bigger than the size of the sofa or the single sofa, right? So what happens is that the sofa is bigger than the size of the bed and it's making it look small. Even in sketches, I hope you know that even in sketches you can actually in point scale in sketches, right? So if I do a sketch, a rough sketch of a particular space, right, and I'm trying to do that sketch to as a pre-planning method for my design for a particular project. What happens is the size of the furnitures in a particular space should be to a proportion to scale. There should be to scale in terms of size. So the bed always should be bigger than the sofa. So if the it becomes other way around, it means that drawing might be having some issues around and it can cause problem for you. Right, so now one of the mistakes that people make, right? So there are several mistakes, but we'll talk about these few ones. So if you are around any of these, right? So please make sure you do correct yourself in the next designs you're working on, and then you see that you achieve comfort, you achieve functionality for your designs onward. Okay, one of the mistakes is dimensions. Guessing dimensions, right? So now, as an interior designer, as an architect, or in the building industry, one of the things that you should avoid to do is to guess dimensions of a project you want to work on, right? So now, when your client gives you a project or you are given a project in school, now one of the things you want to do is to go and do a site analysis, analyze the site, go to that particular environment, and then check the space, right? To analyze what is happening there currently, and then take measurements. Don't assume measurements while you're doing a particular project, either for a client or for to be used for jury or defense in school. Don't assume measurements. You do take actual measurements. Right, so now it helps you to actually have work done. So now students or people draw without knowing the sizes, the real sizes of these spaces, and then it's uncalled for. So it's a bad sign for a very very bad design. Because now even while you're using your system to draw, you're using an Archicad or you're using Revit, whatever, even AutoCAD, whatever tool you're using to make use of your 2D drawings and presentation, right? You see that it will be mistake all through. So the first or the best way to avoid those mistakes all through your design is to actually do the right thing from the start. Are we together? So the next mistake is oversized space. Oversized space. Right. So if you have an oversized space, right, so huge rooms, right. So for example, most times one of the challenges that some lecturers feel they have in designs is the fact that when they have a space that is large, for example, the living room, then that living room is usually not it's not the kind of room they are used to designing. So now it can become a challenge for them because what they're thinking is, okay, how do I fill up this other negative space? How do I fill up these empty spaces around this room? How do I fill up these other spaces around this space? So it can become a challenge. So but then what you do is begin to now look for other ways as an interior designer. What you're looking out for is begin to use other accessories. Using accessories, wall art, using side tables, using sculptures or flower pots, things that now fill up the space, and then you are trying to make sure that your design captures the attention. Everything in design is united, is balanced, is they are all working together. So now, when you work on a big space, a large space, it is very very easy for you to have a scenario whereby you have empty spaces all through, right? So now we want to avoid that, and then for you to avoid that, you have to now ensure that you're working with the right, you're working with measurements, you're working with the right scale, right? So now if you have a larger space, right, you have to first of all take measurement, like I said earlier, and then you now begin to use those measurements you have taken so far to use the measurement to now begin to make corrections, right? Where needed, right? You are checking out, okay, I think there's an empty negative space here. Right, so what do I do here? Should I bring in a sofa? Do I bring in an ottoman or a flap with an accessory to beautify that space and still make it feel unanimous, right? So it makes it feel united along the way. Right. So now number three. So now okay, number four. I think we've gone to number four. Um, Copying without understanding. Copying without understanding. A lot of people do this, right? A lot of designers or architects or interior designers do this, whereby they copy, they go to Pinterest, and you just see a design, a very wonderful design. You say, oh, wow, you copy this design, and you're now doing replicating that design. So that is on the other hand, you are doing plagiarism, right? So we are not going down that path for now. But then without you understanding what you are doing or you understanding what the idea that person was thinking when he or she did that design. You didn't understand what they thought, why they did that design. So you just came out and you went and do it, right? So it can actually because now for every design that is done, every design has for instance as an architect, every design that is done on the site or a floor plan you see online, right? They have a site that suits them. They have a site whereby that space can work. That floor plan was designed with respect to the size of the plot, right? They were designed with respect to the size of the plot. So you're now coming out, you're now carrying that particular design. You are into your own particular site plan project or your project that you are working with, and then it is not collaborating. It's not. They are not synchronizing, so to say. And so it becomes a problem for you. So please make corrections and just try to. One of the things that makes design interesting is the ability to think out new ideas, think out new things, new ways of doing these things, and then it becomes very much useful for us as interior designers or architects or as a building professional in the case. So practical, sorry, so it becomes much more practical for you to actually apply. So when you think about this design, right, when you create that design by yourself, you now see, oh, wow, I did this design. So you're like, this is my design. So nobody can take this one away from me. This is what I did. So you are proud of what you did because why you created it from your mind. Probably you can actually do case studies. You can have must have done case studies, understudied a particular design or an existing project. But then after understanding that project doesn't mean you actually copy everything entirely about that project. But then what happens? You are now creating your own idea as regarding that particular project you ventured into. That's now I want to ask us a question. So imagine a bedroom for one person. What are the minimum things that must fit in? So want us to imagine now imagine a bedroom that is designed for just one person. Right. So notice it can be a teenager or a youth. Right. So now what do you think would fit into that space? What are the furniture, what are the items, accessories that will um that will dwell that can be added to that space? Right. So I just want us to maybe you can write that in the comment section below, right? And I will check out and see how it goes. So what do you think can come into that space and make it much more lively for people to actually see and engage with it? Okay, so you can write that out and we'll check it out and I'll answer the questions when I see us making the comments. Right. So please subscribe to this channel if you're just coming in and we'll do well to because we're doing a posting on a daily basis now and then do everything because I have some tips to just yourself at the end of the day. Right, number two. Right, so after this class, so I want you to observe your space. Probably you're living in your own apartment, right? So observe your space. So measure how many steps it takes from door to bed. I believe you understand the question or the observation task I'm giving you now. So now I want you to observe. Use your foot measurement to observe from the entrance door to your bedroom down to where your bed is. How many feet are there? What's the distance between the door and where the bed is? And tell me, and let's give that out in the comment section below. Let's discuss about it because now it's very important for, like I said, circulation is very important for you to actually have that circulation around your space, and then it becomes easier for you to now walk around that space. Right? It is very, very, very important for you to understand that. Right? So now, one of the things that we do as an architect, right, is that it gives us when we understudy, observe the design, right, you're now able to now implement something better. So observation is one is a skill. This is a skill, I would say it's a skill in architecture or design that you learn so that when you go for case studies, an existing case study, a project case study, right, you actually observe, okay, what color palette are they using, what are the design, okay, what other considerations they use in terms of managing people, in terms of managing customers. It's a commercial space, right? So now all these things you can be able to put into consideration, right? So I would like us to type yes if scale has confused before. If scale has not confused before for any project or even while you're in school, right? So please type yes. Let's do a discussion in the comment section below. Right? So key takeaways. Key takeaways. If you didn't understand anything we've talked about so far, one of the things you understand is that scale is about people, not just numbers. Scale is about people, the people you're designing for. they matter. Like, so it's about the people you're designing for, not just the numbers or the relationship between the size and the space. No. So the people are the most important factors when it comes to building an environment. Because if there are no people who live in that environment, there will be no clients, there will be no doing the job as an architect or interior designer, whatever the profession is in the building industry. Okay. Number two key takeaway is that always design with human use in mind. Always have the people, the occupants in mind. One of the things I observe is the fact that around some places is that some of these landowners or homeowners don't care for these other factors. But they don't make design because of the fact that they can afford to just rent. Let me just rent it out. So don't make the person that just rent it out. Because if you do it, you confirm your design or you work on a design carefully on a particular project carefully, right? You can actually gain more money from that particular project because why? The design is built custom built to last, and then there's comfort. So anybody that comes into your apartment, rents your apartment, he or she would find it very difficult to leave because of the fact that the space is much more comfortable. In a place whereby there are too many bad wrong things happening, if you come out and make the right choice or make the right decision, so like one thing you see that you stand out and people begin to rush out for your particular design, right? So now number three, furniture helps to test the scale. Like I said earlier, this furniture scale. So it helps us to test the scale, to test the size of the space. For those of us that are conversant with CAD, computer aided design softwares, right? So you understand that when you do a space, then you want to actually understand how functional the space is. What happens is for you to place furniture in that space, either a bedroom or a kitchen, for you to see how functional it is. So that if I'm having 3.3 meters as my space, and I'm using a double bed of 1.8 meters wide. And so, what other space do I have around that environment for people to probably do other activities that they want to do, right? In terms of moving around from their bed, their wardrobes, or their multiple wardrobes, or their media unit or the media wall, all that aspect is very important. So, comfort needs to be achieved. So remember, wrong scale, wrong design. If you don't have the right use of scale, please, you would have a wrong design. Right. So we end it here, this session today here. So thank you for joining up to the end of this particular video, and I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. This particular video was helpful to you. So if it was, please do well to comment section, and then having this particular section again tomorrow. We have this tomorrow we'll break down drawing skills. Right now, tomorrow we're going to go down deep into skills, right? I will have to actually come with my skill rules. So I actually explain skill one is to 100, skill one is to 50, skill one is to 200. So which skill that is better or useful, much useful when I'm doing a what's it called? I want to print out my project. Which skill should I use to do my drawing on CAD? So that I can actually print it out and it becomes the size of the paper that I'm working with. Right? So now this will be about tomorrow. So please do well to subscribe to Architect's Guide. Right? I'm your host, Bright Gira. So we'll meet again or we'll see tomorrow, the same time tomorrow. So have a wonderful day and bye for now.